Hey everyone, welcome back to Klik TV. I know things might look a little different from the last time you've seen us, but we are entering into a new chapter known as Klik TV Online, where we are able to talk to guests from all over the country and even the world. But starting off today, we are bringing back a very special guest who you may have seen her interview before, Miss Amy Thomas, who is the president of Limelight Business Partners, the managing partner of Sublime Medical Billing Partners, and the vice president of educational planning at Maryland's MGMA, but soon to be the president coming in 2024. Amy, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Really great. Super happy to have you. And, I am your host. I'm Brooke, also known as Tech Barbie. I write the Tech Barbie blog here at Klik Solutions, and I will be taking over as the new host for Klik TV Online. So let's just get right into some of these questions. All right, the first question that I have for you, Amy. How would you describe your position at Maryland MGMA, and what is the biggest takeaway you've gotten from working there, and how has that impacted the way that you choose to run your business?
Yeah, so I've been a board member for a couple years now, and I'm currently the vice president of educational planning and the incoming president for the year 2024. So that seems like it's going to be tomorrow. Thank you. One of the biggest things that MGMA, which is Maryland Group Management Association, has done is create a networking opportunity across the board when it comes to anything medical, whether it be billing services, IT services, anything that you would need, you have that right at your fingertips. It's all about making the connections and building relationships. Also, we just had a event with MACHI, which is the Maryland Association of Healthcare Executives. They are part of the American College of Healthcare Executives, ACHE. They're a forum of professional development and interchange among senior level healthcare executives. So your higher levels in hospital settings. Whereas MGMA, we try to focus on the mid to smaller size practices who also need like education and resources. Another thing that I'm a part of is the legislative committee with Maryland MGMA. This is vital and very important because you want to know with your state what kind of legislation is going through or what they're discussing. So I've been a part of that for a couple years now. And prior to this job, I really didn't pay attention to the different bills and such that we go through with the House and the Senate. And now it's a big interest to me because it does affect our everyday life with our healthcare. So that has been a really great resource with that. And it also keeps up with national as well, what's going on with, our Congress and everything like that. We just specifically focus on the healthcare bills. So that's very important to keep that, up to date and know what's going on, especially with the private practices and the changing of rule and regulations.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like you're able to be way more involved in things that are going on, especially at the legal level, than maybe you were before being able to join this organization. So that's fantastic. So my next question is kind of actually a good segue into this after what you had just said. How do you stay up to date with the latest regulations in medical billing? And can you provide an example of how you incorporate these latest developments in order to strengthen your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned before, education is very important. Again, everything changes every year. There's new regulations. One of the biggest things is keeping up to date with CMS, which is the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. You can get an email if you go onto their website. It's called MLN Connects. It's the official CMS news from the Medicare Learning Network. Every day I get an email telling me what's going on, what they're looking at, what they're changing, different codes and such. So every day it's almost like a newspaper from CMS letting us know what they're looking at, what has changed, because things change all the time. Also, I love to do webinars Those are good education. I recently came to a conference that Klik actually had about IT and services. That was very eye-opening. I don't think people understand how much IT and cybersecurity, I feel like everyone's trying to get in our business. So you got to make sure that, everything's locked down, especially with patient information and HIPAA and rules and regulations, that you have everything in place, that your network is secure, your internet, so you don't have hackers. Also, another good thing to do is join other organizations as well. And even just following them on social media or LinkedIn is great because they will update everything. There's also live training webinars that I like to join. I just got one this morning for Availity, for instance. That's like a very big clearinghouse for payers. I got that email today. They offer that for free, so I'll end up doing that in case there's any rules or regulations. The one today was strictly focused on Johns Hopkins Healthcare. So I know they did some moving around and such, so you've got to keep up with everything that's going on. Otherwise, you'll start getting non-payments. You're going to be like, what is going on? And they're like, oh, we sent you an email about this months ago, or they mailed something. So you've got to keep up to date with everything.
Yeah, I love hearing that not only do you like to stay up to date with things that are going on specifically in your field, but you also pay attention to the IT field and realize how that can also impact your business, and how staying up to date in that, like you said, is just as crucial when it comes to cybersecurity concerns and all types of things like that, for sure. So my next question for you, Amy, is when you're working with insurance companies and handling claim denials, how do you manage difficult situations or disputes that arise with insurance?
So first thing that I instruct my team to do every day, any claim that we send to our clearinghouse, usually the next day, it'll show if it's denied or not, moving towards the payer. Sometimes they get rejected right away, and it could be simple as you forgot a zero or a digit or something. So you got to make sure that that is checked daily, because otherwise it's just going to sit there. It never gets there. And then your insurance AR is going to go through the roof. If there is an issue, you can resubmit. Sometimes I don't recommend that. It depends on the situation of the claim, but calling the actual insurance company, getting a reference number, there's been many times that different payers actually make mistakes. So you want to make sure there's a reference number in place in case you would have to call back, because when you call a payer, just get ready to be on hold and do other things. You got to be able to multitask.
Check your email.
Sometimes they pick up right away, and sometimes you're hitting different things to get to different places. So another big thing I ask all clients to do is make sure that they scan the patient's insurance cards, front and back. So this is very, very important to attach this to any EHR or PM system that you have, because it also has the 800 number. As much as you might know it, there's different divisions within different payers. So having that card copied is a huge resource if you would need to follow up. Also, checking eligibility prior is very important. You want to make sure that the patient is eligible for services. And also you can check deductibles as well. You would be shocked how many times patients don't know that they have a huge deductible that hasn't been met yet. And they're like, why do I have a bill? It's like, well, you have a big deductible. And one of the biggest misconceptions of this is that the patients will say, I didn't know. It's like, well, you signed up for this insurance. You should have read all the 300 pages you have to sign to get the health insurance.
Or fine print. Right.
Oh, it is such fine print. And, some things are not covered. Some places they're not covered at a specific site. So if you need imaging done, sometimes your insurance will not allow it at a hospital site, but they do allow it and pay in full at an off-site. So you want to make sure, even as the patient, I do this only because I know, I want to make sure everything's covered. I do not want a big bill that was not covered or out of network. Also, with Maryland MGMA, we do have payer days, which are very important. So you have your United Healthcare, your Blue Cross, your Aetna, a representative there. So if you have like a specific instance of something going on, you can actually take that to them. And it's sort of like a point of contact that you have. So those are very important as well to attend payer days. A lot of organizations do have payer days. So even if it's not with Maryland MGMA, for instance, different groups do. So I highly recommend going to that to make sure you're staying up to date with all the rules and regulations that, they put out all the time.
Yeah. Being in the know, I think is so clearly important because, like you said, a lot of people won't take, well, I didn't know as an excuse, especially once your name is on a contract where you should have read. But like you said, there's so many ways to try to learn more and to try to become more aware of these things in order to maybe help yourself out in the long run. So my next question, totally. My next question for you is, could you discuss your experience in providing consulting services to healthcare providers, and how do you leverage technology during this process?
Yeah, so the first thing I do, I would always offer a free consultation to see what's going on. Typically, what's happening, there's sort of a process that might be broken, or they're missing a step, or they're not using efficiencies to get a streamlined workflow. Like I said, with what I do with our company, every day there's like a certain task that you have to do to make sure everything's flowing. Majority of the times you can go into a practice and, I'll say, well, who does your billing? Or like this person, this person, this person, this person. And I'm like, well, who does what? And nobody even knows. So you almost have to like outline a plan for them so they become more efficient. So when you first go in, you just want to like sort of observe, see what's going on. I'm a digger. So with their EHR and PM system, I'm like, let me touch it. Let me look. I'm very familiar with numerous EHR and PM platforms. And what I want to see is two things. I want to see their patient AR. So how much the actual patient owes. Why aren't you collecting this? And it could be something as broken as, oh, well, we don't collect the copay. We don't do this or that. We don't send statements, which blows my mind because the patients don't know. Typically, they get their EOB, which is their explanation of benefits. And you probably got one before. It says, this is not a bill. So then when the client sends a statement too, they're like, oh, well, it said it wasn't a bill. So you almost have to explain to the patient and also the culture of our world in healthcare that no, that is an actual bill. It's just, this is your explanation of benefits. So 30% of EHR, like only 30% of EHR and PM systems are used. So I highly recommend, if you are getting into a platform, a couple things. I do like the cloud-based because then you could sort of work everywhere. There's still some platforms that, you have to like remote in or put it on your desktop, but the cloud is very good. What you got to make sure is that you have a very good IT company to make sure no one could dig into these cloud-based systems and have your patient information compromised. So Klik is my managed service provider, and I can work anywhere in the world. So, and I know they're looking after everything. If I have any issues right away, do I submit a ticket and I get something back? I am so happy with the services I have. IT services are very important and vital to any business, but also most definitely for like medical practices. Because again, you don't want anyone hacking in to your patient information. That could be a huge breach and issue. Absolutely. And make sure you have cybersecurity insurance.
Yeah, that too. Absolutely. Well, I'm so happy to hear that Klik has been a great fit for you and for your business. And I know that working in the medical field is something that we are proud to provide IT services for, like you said, to help protect patient data. I was like, client's not the right word.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So my last question for you today is coming a little bit more from talking woman to woman. And I started the Tech Barbie blog because I wanted to be a voice for women in tech, which I feel like there are not as many as you see men in tech. So it's very important to me to be empowering women and to be representing women in the best way that I can. So my final question for you is, what advice would you give other women who dream of being the founder, owner, and president of their own company like you are, which is amazingly impressive?
Thank you. So I think it was instilled with me growing up to never give up. And one of the biggest things is I did a lot of sports, and my parents would be like, you signed up, you're finishing this season. I couldn't get out of it. Like I was not allowed. I had to finish what I was starting. I finished what I signed up for. I don't believe in failure. You have to learn how to handle those ups and downs as well, and prioritize and delegate different things. Once you have a company, you have to have a good set of employees that you trust. Also, I do a lot of listening to webinars and stuff about emotional intelligence and how to handle conflict. I'm still working on conflict because I don't want anyone upset or conflicted with anything that I do. But your character is how you handle difficult situations. So that's very important. You got to be able to keep your cool even in some heated situations. I know we're speaking woman to woman. I've been in rooms that it's me and all men and CEOs, and you just got to walk in with your head up high, no matter what. Because again, you never know what's going to arise in that situation. So I feel like sometimes when you're the strong woman walking in, it's all about your vibe and your aura and how you present yourself, and you just got to walk around with your head up. You have to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You have to be able to work really hard and risk. That's another thing I'm working on. I'm not a risk taker. I don't gamble.
That surprises me.
I know, me too. I don't gamble at all. I don't know. But I do risk in business, just not risk other things. Another thing is you have to be able to disconnect and take off. This is a challenge for me because at our fingertips are our phones and laptops. So if I do go away, I try to go somewhere remotely that no one can bother me. Of course, I let my clients know, hey, I'm going in the middle of the woods in Pennsylvania. I might not have service, but you have to be able to disconnect here and there. Another thing is I work out every day. I didn't used to do that, but I will say with doing that, that helps my mind be able to handle things. And I'm not as stressed out because when I go for my run or walk or whatever I'm doing, I'm listening to things, or I'm listening to my 90s music that I love. It makes me feel better. It's that break that you need. You have to be able to give yourself a break every day. I talk to a lot of women too that say, I don't have time. And I'm like, give me your calendar. I'll make time for you. You got to be able to figure it out. And also, I'm a single mom to 2 kids that are in everything. So you have to I have 4 different calendars going on in my life. So every Sunday night, do I sit there and look between all of them? And what am I going to do? When am I going to do it? I even associate the weather with it. So I have to see if it's going to be too cold, snowing, raining, whatever.
I'd
rather be outside than go to the actual gym. So today is going to be a warm one. So I will make time to do that. One of the other big things is to become less reactive and more responsive. So this is something I feel like comes with age. I think when I was younger, I was more reactive, but you need to listen to hear and not listen to respond, especially with your employees, with your clients, with everyone. So I've been really working on, and I highly suggest this to everyone, men and women, everyone, that you really listen to people and don't react right away. My famous quote line back is let me marinate on that, because I don't want to give the wrong answer right away or change my mind. And I feel like,
totally agree.
yeah, when you say that to someone, they're like, oh, they're really taking this seriously, and they're going to come back and like discuss it more. So don't ever make rash decisions emotionally or anything like that. So, which goes taking off and turning off the internet.
Yeah, taking that step back, I think is huge, because I think sometimes when you see a message and it gets you heated or it makes you feel a certain way, you feel motivated to just respond with the first thing you think of. But a lot of times, if you took a step back, you took some time, you came back, you reread it, you might realize different things that you didn't necessarily see the first time of, oh, okay, this is the place that they're coming from, and you've had some time to cool off. And if you just react right away and respond, you may just make a bigger conflict if they react, and it could become a lot more heated than it needs to be sometimes. I think everything you said was great advice. And Amy, thank you so much for coming on and being my first guest. This was so much fun.
It's been an honor, and I really appreciate it. We can't let out the star of the show behind me here. You got to also have a good wingman. This is Waffles Hamilton. So anytime I'm stressed, it's, scientifically proven, like having a pet always helps. So, yeah, he's always behind me here during work days. So,
shout out Waffles.
I know. Look at him work hard.
We'll have to put in an image, like that picture of Waffles with the waffles or something, as closing out image for this talk. Thank you again, Amy. This was so much fun.
Yes, anytime. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Klik for giving me this opportunity and a platform to speak, and for other people to do this going forward. I think this is a great idea for everyone in every company.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Until next time.